Good evening. Welcome to another session of the Sea of Glass. Tonight, we're in the book of Genesis, and I want to talk to you about the sons of Jacob. It's so important. This is the most important thing that you can ever understand, is that we are feelings in the scriptures. When you come to the understanding, we are feelings. We are created by feelings. And we come in the understanding of feelings. And the Bible is a book of feeling. It's not a book about, a story. The story of Jacob is not a book that was left somewhere 4,000 years ago. The family of Jacob is the family of man. It's the way we feel, understand, and how to understand ourselves, and how to understand others around us, and how to live life on earth, because the whole Bible is based on the story of Jacob and his son. There's nothing in New Testament, Old Testament, it doesn't matter, because everything was based on that story. And you got to come to understand that the story is what makes you understand your feelings, how you feel in the understanding. You're going to see the first four sons of Jacob that was born to Leash, and then you're going to see the four son that was born to the slave girl, and then you're going to see the other two sons of Leash, and then you're going to see the two sons of Rachel. You're going to see that tonight. We're going to show you that tonight. You have to understand that to understand the book of Joshua, because unless you understand the sons of Jacob, you cannot understand the book of Joshua. You cannot understand anything in the all four of the understanding of the Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers. And you see, in order to understand the Bible, Old and New Testament, you have to understand the son of Jacob. If you don't, you do not understand. And believe me, I want to tell you something. I come here not to teach anybody. I come here to learn. And what I have learned, I share it with you. You cannot prove me wrong, and I cannot prove you wrong, but I can prove that you have feeling inside of you, and those feelings are real. They're not, and that I'm going to prove tonight to you, that these feelings come from the Lord, your God, and that's the way you are. Go on. I want you to read all that paragraph there.
Okay, if you're following at home, we're in the first book of the Bible under Genesis, the end of chapter 29, and then we go to 30. Jacob's children. When the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. Again she conceived, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So he was named Levi. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children.
Okay, now let's start from those 4 sons right now. You have Reuben, firstborn, faith. You have to have faith. You got to understand now. You really have to understand the mother into this here, which is Leah. Well, to me, at least with a D. Anyway, that's the way I pronounce it. And you got to understand that she's the wife that is not loved. In other words, faith. People don't really like faith that much. They have faith. But if you have faith, they'll contradict you, because, it's the wife that people don't love. Same thing with understanding. A lot of people love to read things and understand great things. But most people don't read nothing. They don't want to hear nothing. And if you are too intelligent for them, they shut you off, because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the part of the understanding of life. So that's why the wife is so important here, because she's not being loved by Jacob. You got to understand that the father here is Jacob, and the great power of the father here comes and conceives children to a woman that he doesn't love. And that's the way the human race has been from the very beginning of life. This is the way people are. Then you have Judas, the speechmaker, and you can see it now in all the politics of the world and all the religion of the world. Most people cannot go and make a speech. The only few people in front that makes the speech, because it's all part of the understanding. People don't like to go in front of people and talk, because it's part of leash, the mind that tells you that she's not being loved. She don't feel good about herself. She don't feel good about the way her husband loves her. And that's the way it is in the world. That's the great power. And then you have Levi, love. A lot of people, reject love. They don't want to get it because they're not educated enough to understand it. Love is part of an understanding. Now, those 4 sons there that comes from the great power of the wife that's not love is part of your understanding. These are feeling inside of you that lives inside of you every day of your life. And you have to understand these 4 sons in order to understand the Bible. Because you cannot understand the Bible without faith. You cannot understand the Bible without understanding. And you cannot end the Bible without love or without the understanding of the speechmaker. You've got to come to understand that these things come inside of you as a feelings. Feelings. Bible is not flesh. It's not a story of the past. Bible is the way you feel about life, the way you are. You have faith, and that's a verb inside of you. You have understanding, and that's a verb inside of you. You have love inside of you. It's an understanding. It's inside of you. And you have the speech. How to converse with other people, how to understand the power of other people. So you have those 4 sons there that lives within inside of you to understand the power of your feelings. So God gives you the great power of intelligence. That's what he gave in the understanding of mankind, and that's why he brought the Bible, the sea. So people will come to understand what he created that, 6,000 years ago. What did he create there? He created an animal that has the power of those 4 feelings. And we're going to continue because I really want to get this in the understanding. Unless the people come to understand. You see, religion on earth never taught about this. They never teach what is supposed to be taught to people. And the people are all wondering in the New Testament, and they see a magician that comes and they throw all their faith in that man, and they think that that's the man that's going to save them. But what's going to save them is the Son of God himself, the common sense of these son that is born to them in spiritual terms. That's the common sense. That's the real Son of God, is that understand the Scriptures. What's going to save you? A man? No. What's going to save you is your understanding. It's going to bring you to a world of a great promised land that the Lord is talking about. And it's not a heaven somewhere else, like the Christians said, that you're going to go fly around with Jesus and Jesus' arm and all the garbage that they teach, This is not what it's going to be. It's going to be a knowledge that's going to come inside of you, and it's going to bring the verb of human thinking inside of you in the understanding that life is a great power of human understanding. It's not a place that you go after you die. You see, this is what is so mixed up about this world. And then you see all these people killing people because they can't live with themselves. And you see people committing suicide. And then you see people in all kinds of phase of life not to be able to understand. They think that life is the most boring thing in the world because they don't want to understand nothing. They reject the first sons of Jacob. They reject the power of the first sons of Jacob. They don't feel love. They don't feel what you are. So the great power is for you to understand these things. I come over here, and I was told not too long ago by someone, oh, I can't prove what I preach. Sure, I can prove what I preach. I can prove what I preach because it's a feeling, it's inside of you that counts. If you do not believe in the feelings itself that's inside of you, then you have nothing. You're dead in spirit. But if you come to understand that there's faith, living faith inside of you, there's living understanding inside of you, there's living love inside of you, and there's a living speech that you converse with other people to make life interesting and to make life worth living. The great power of a human being to be able to understand himself as a human being. We're going to go to the next step of the sons of Jacob, because I want to tell you about the slave girl now. I want to tell you with these slave girls, the mothers is different, because it's not the first wife of Jacob, and it's not it comes in the understanding of a new understanding. See, nobody talks about the sons of Jacob. No religion on earth talks of the sons of Jacob. No one on earth can understand the scriptures, and no one on earth can prove their faith either. They can't prove what they preach because they do not understand the feelings of that's in the Bible. The Bible is made a book of feelings. It's a book about your spiritual understanding. It's not a book of atlas that you understand your feet and your hand and your foot and your head. It's a book of knowledge that lives inside of you in the verb of your feelings. Okay, read the other part, Rita.
Okay, we go right to chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister Leah. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Jacob became angry with her and said, Am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children? Then she said, "Here is Bilhah, my maidservant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I too can build a family."
Okay, you got to come to understand the slave girl now. Slave girl means that you'll be a slave to it. I want you to read the other two sons there. I want Dane and...
okay, you want me to go right now?
Yeah, all the way to Italy here, because
Okay.
those two are together in the Bible,
So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son." Because of this, she named him Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali.
Okay, you got to understand that Dan and Naphtali are another understanding. These are together. These two brothers are together. Country and the Lord. God and country. Because you are slaves to the Lord your God. You are also slaves to the government that controls everything in your life. God controls everything in your spiritual life, and government controls everything. Those two sons come from the slave girl. And by coming from the slave girl now, they become inside of you that you have to adapt yourself. There's nobody that don't believe in God. I don't believe in no atheists in the world. The only thing is false religion that made atheists. Because false religion is so unreliable and so untrue that they created atheists. And these people don't have no knowledge of the truth, so they don't want to believe in any lies that come from religion, so they don't believe in any God whatsoever because they say they don't believe in the God. But these people have the same feelings that we have. So then you are affiliated with God. You cannot go away from God. No one in this world can ever say, well, I don't need God at all. They can say that, but they cannot feel that. See, what's the difference is when you feel inside of yourself and you have something in your life that, now they're not going to believe in the Christian God. They're not going to believe in the Muslim God. They're not going to believe in the Jewish God, because this is not the Jewish God. This is the God of the Spirit for all men to feel. You know, this does belong to the Jewish people. A lot of people, they hate Jewish. We just had a shooting in the synagogue there that people hate the Jew, and they just want to shoot him because they think that, you know what I mean, they raise themselves too high above everybody else. So there's been the feeling, look at the Holocaust, and look at all this garbage of saying that these people are not equal to everybody else. Well, you see what happened there is the understanding of religion has messed up the world. You know, what these people believe, they believe when you're a Christian, you believe you're right. And when you're Jewish, you believe you're right. And when you're a Protestant, you believe you're right. When you're a Muslim, you believe you're right. You see these women dressed in, you know, in clothes over their head and everything else, because they think they're doing what God tells them to do. But the great power here is that everybody believes in God. It's not just these people that believes in God, but the people, the simple people. And you understand, and they have better faith than all the people of religion. You know why? Because, you know, they live day by day. They don't have a lot in life, but they do have the understanding inside of them that life will give them good luck, that life will give them good chance with others, that life will be fair with them. You see, that's believing in God. God will use His justice. You know what I mean? They believe in justice. They believe in fairness. They believe in every word that's written in this book. But they say, well, the three-word God, well, they were fooled by religion not to believe it. Because the people that talk about God talk about the stupidity and the ignorance that they believe. And nobody wants to believe that. You know, I mean, if you're intelligent a little bit there, trying to tell people that a priest can do all these magical tricks in front of people on Sunday morning, you know what I mean? Then you got to say, what's going on here? And then you see the other people that are healing people with Jesus' power and all this stuff. You see, that's why they don't believe in God. But you see, country, you're affiliated with country, with Natalie. You know, Natalie and Dan are together as one. You know, God and country. People believe, they have to believe it's some kind of authority above themselves. They have to believe that the authority of the power above themselves has to work for them. Because you're made like that. You're made to understand. You're made to feel. You're made to have faith. And you're made to speak out. Because God has made us that way. The creation of the Lord is real. It's not something that's not real. It's here. And we can see it in the beauty of life all around us. Because the power of a human being is to feel the understanding of the sons of God. God is the truth. And you got to understand that these two sons that are together, God and country, you have to feel the authority of the earth as well as the authority of heaven. You have to understand and respect government. You have to understand the laws of government. Because if you don't, you're going to end up in jail somewhere, or you're going to end up in execution somewhere, because you cannot kill people, you cannot steal from people, you cannot do the same thing that's written in the scriptures, because it's not fair. Now, there's a lot of laws in government that ain't fair, because they are not part of the spiritual power of the Lord in heaven. But you got to understand the power is there, and the power is there for you to understand the truth. The great power of reality. What is God? God is the understanding that's inside of us. What is, the government? It's the power inside of us. Now we're going to go to the other two sons of Jacob. And we're going to try to understand these two sons again. Go ahead.
When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her maidservant, Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune!" So she named him Gad.
Okay, now here you have the business world. The business world. This business world is the power of understanding that you will feel good when you succeed in business. The people that don't succeed in business are jealous of those that feel in business. So here's the slave girl again. You can become a slave to business. You can work day and night. You can work, or if you don't have any business and you don't produce business, then you're going to be a slave to a lack of wealth, because the power here is you're a slave. As long as you live, you're going to have to make some kind of money, some kind of power, some kind of glory that's going to keep you together, because you have to deal with other people in order to survive. There's people that goes in the mountain by themselves and try to live there. They don't live long, a couple of years. There's, the nature comes to them. They get sick. Very few mountain men has survived by themselves in the wilderness, because it's too hard. You have to depend on people, and people has to make business with each other. See, this is a feeling inside of you. You see the way the Bible is written now, that these are feelings. If you want to say something in the book of Leviticus about this son here, this one is Issachar, right?
No. Gad.
Gad. This one is Gad here. You got to come to understand the power of the slavery of the son that was born from a slave girl now. You're going to be a slave. Either you like it or you don't. And say you hate business, well, you're going to be without it. And if you love business, you're going to be into it. There's no way out. You're going to be a slave to it. You're going to come to understand the great power. And that's why the next son, read me the next son there.
Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy I am. The women will call me happy." So she named him Asher.
Okay, Asher becomes this, the second son of Zilpah. And those two are together again, Gad and Asher, because money comes from business and business and come. You're going to be happy. If you get a lot of money, you're happy. If you win the lotto, you're happy. If you got a lot of money, or if you do well in business and you make a lot of money, you become happy. You see, this is what the power is. It's to be able to understand why your feeling works this way. What makes you so attached to money? What makes you in the world that we live? You see, those four sons there that are born from the slave girl are part of the four-winged creatures. And they all part of these four-winged creatures that controls the world. You got to come to understand that the slave girl is what you're going to understand the power of yourself to be a slave to what God has made slave. You're going to be a slave to it because you can't live without it. The great power, and that's why they are also the four-winged creatures. Every one of these four sons is the power to touch one another. The wing touch one another. We have to touch it. We have to go from government to business, business to money, and business to God. And you got to put the four together in one big trend that we are slave to the slave girl in the understanding of life on earth. The great power is to be able to understand that from these things comes the freedom of life. The great power of the book of Joshua, to be able to destroy all the kings that are not right for you and to bring the kings that are right to you. Now, if you listen to religion, they tell you money is the root of all evil. And if you see people that don't have any money, they think that people in business are all crooked. And they think like that because they didn't educate themselves. If they did educate themselves in the understanding of scriptures, they would understand the power. But they think that everybody steals from them because they're poor. Now, it's them that steal from themselves, but not try to do business with the world and try to make their life a little bit better themselves. You see, life is self-control. Life is the understanding of understanding control. Life is learning control inside yourself. You have to learn for yourself. Now I come here, to tell you about these things because I have heard it from the Spirit that I have inside myself. And I take these things from the understanding of that Spirit, and I tell you about it, not because I want to teach you about it. I want you to learn it for yourself. I want you to read about the 12 sons of Jacob, and every single word in here comes from the mouth of God. And every word in here has some meaning. Every word, the mother, the slave girl, the mother that nobody likes, the one that Jacob loves the most, you know what I mean? And the great power of that is to be able to understand the glory of the understanding of life on earth. See, God has the power inside of himself. He had the power to tell us the glory of intelligence. So you can come to understand that the sons of Jacob. The son of Jacob is to be able to understand that we are made with 12 verbs inside of us. And those 12 verbs create 600,000 feelings inside of us that comes and makes our life in the understanding of reality, where everything in the world can be understood as including the Word of God. You see, right now, nobody's never read the Bible. Nobody's never understood the Bible. You take all these high people of heavenly heart all over the world, the church, the religion. They never understood the Bible. But they tried to form religion in front of people to bring people to their table, to understand their way of thinking. And their way of thinking is a falsehood. That's what I've been trying to tell you for the past, I've been on this show for 20 years. How can you understand what you don't understand, and how can you preach what you don't understand? You see what happened is they read the New Testament. They try to understand that Jesus is God, and they put all their feelings towards that, and they worship a false God before the Lord. It's not that Jesus was not a good person. It's not that Jesus was not the great, and he came. But he also came to fool those that fooled themselves. And the Lord said, I'm sending this man here, and he's going to fool those that think they're better than everybody else. And that's why he sent Jesus. He sent Jesus, his servant, to come into the world and fool those that thinks that they're better than everybody else. The Jewish faith was full of arrogance. Back then, they crucified him. You want to serve the Son of God? You have to serve your sacrifice, because Jesus himself went to the cross as a sacrifice. He followed the Lord is God. And, the people that comes, and if you're going to be preaching the Word of God, you better believe it, that people will persecute you. People will not accept you. I can tell you that for a fact, that everything that I say here is monitored by the people out there, and they think that I'm a nut, I'm a crazy, but I'm telling you the truth here. I'm coming here to mean the truth. And everybody thinks, oh my God, he's destroying our faith. Our faith, your faith is worthless. I can tell you that it's worthless, because it does not believe in the real God. It believes in a false God, that the religion has fabricated and made it into something. But once you start understanding the sons of Jacob, and you start understanding that you have feeling inside of you, and the kingdom of God is inside of you, and this is exactly what Jesus said 2,000 years ago. The kingdom of God's inside of you. It's not on the outside. It's not in religion. It's not in church. It's not by the people that don't understand it. It's by the people that try to understand. See, learning the Bible, it's like learning geography, or you know what I mean. Try to understand the grammar, the English grammar, the French grammar. It's trying to understand the way it works. And this is what the way it works. It works in your feelings to understand the power of these feelings inside of you. Try to see your feeling inside of you and match them with these scriptures here. And you're going to become to understand them. And when you become to understand them, you'll have the feelings of these inside. You're going to know what you're a slave to. You're going to know what you don't really like in life. You're going to know all these things. And you're going to come to find the power of yourself inside your soul. You see, Leach gave 4 sons. And then the 2 slave girls gave 4 more sons. And this is inside of you. It's not on the outside of you. It's not a story of the past. It's the story of how you feel and the understanding of yourself. And you're going to see more as we go along. We're going to see the other. Go ahead.
During wheat harvest, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too?"
Okay, let's look at this mandrake here. You know what I mean? Look at Rachel. You know, she wants to be friends with her sister, but you see, her sister always thought that she was in love. She wasn't that. So it's the same thing with Rachel. Rachel had all the beauty. She was a beautiful girl. She was beautiful. She has a nice hip. She had everything to attract Jacob with. The other one didn't have it. So what happened here, you know what I mean, the great power of that is that Rachel, who had everything to gain, borrowed some plane from the Middle East, so she can make some kind of a soup or something, because he liked that, And see, then Leach accused her sister of stealing her husband. But the great power here is to be able to understand the sons that's going to come in the son of Rachel. But we got to understand the other 2 sons first. And I want to talk about the 2 sons, Zebulun and Issachar. Read about those 2 in there.
"Very well," Rachel said. "He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes." So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. "You must sleep with me," she said. "I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a 5th son. Then Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my maidservant to my husband." So she named him Issachar.
Okay, Issachar here is, what we call inside of our feeling gambling. Life is a gamble, not just at the casino or anywhere else, but life is a gambling in all the other sons, You got to come to understand that you have to gamble in life in order to receive success. And the great power of Issachar here is that's the way we feel. Do you see the lotto went up to billions of dollars lately, and people are buying ticket because they believe. There's a feeling inside yourself that people believe. If it's not a good feeling, but it's a feeling that we have, that we like to get free things, that we like to get things inside of ourselves for free. So you put up to get something. You put up your son's, mandarin to get something. You gamble with the situation so you can come and stay ahead. It doesn't mean that you win all the time, because you can see that Lish did not win the love of Jacob, even though she taught. You know what I mean? But you see, the way God written the scriptures, He written the scriptures in a way that we can feel like that, and we live like that. And you cannot understand these things unless you have the feeling to understand it. You can't understand why there's people of religion don't understand the Bible, because they don't feel like that. They tell you something that they do feel like, and it doesn't make sense. They tell you that sex is a sin, but then they feel their own feeling inside themselves that sex is, and that's why you see so many priests and so many people having sex outside the understanding, because they still feel for it, because they don't really understand it. You know, the power is what they condemn in their feelings, is what they must do because it's part of them. You know, you see, people don't realize that unless you listen to the Bible inside your feelings and see what you feel and understand in your feelings and create your feeling to the power of the scriptures that tells you what is right and what is wrong in the power of yourself, you see, that's what happened. And gambling happens to be a feeling that we all have inside of us. And we like, you know, you got people that go to casino and all that. Oh, these people, I don't go to casino. But then you go and make business and try to sell your car for as much as you can. And you try to do everything that you can to get more money than you should for what you have. Or try to buy a house to make money with it. And try to buy all kinds of stuff. Because we are gambler at heart. It's part of our heart. You see, these 12 sons, part of our heart, our feelings that lives within our heart in the feelings of human thinking. God is the truth, and the truth is God. And you have to come to understand that you have to be affiliated with the tribe of Dan and the tribe of Issachar and the tribe of all these so you can come to feel all these things inside yourself for the glory of intelligence. What is God? God is the purpose of our understanding, the great power that controls everything that we have inside of us. And that's what it is, the truth. The power of that truth is within us to complete the glory of human intelligence. And when you have to do that, you come to the power of yourself. And then you begin to feel. Now, nobody never taught about the sons of Jacob on earth. I never heard anyone, all the priests and all the people in Rome, never talked about this. They talked about this in some kind of, you know, oh, Jacob married 4 women. They'll use it as an example. But whoever will use it as an example inside their feelings, because they don't understand it. That's what makes this book so unique, because it survived every human thing in the future of mankind. It came from 6,000 years, and it's still living today, because it's feelings that attach yourself to it. And those feelings cannot be destroyed. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, is a feeling inside of you that tells you that you have to deal value for value. You have to respect the life of others. You see, these feelings are inside of you. And once you break these feelings, you have to pay with the worst thing in your life to understand something in the, you know, so you got to come to understand the power of a human being. You got to come to understand that it's feeling that controls a human being. It's not the law of man or the law. It's a feeling that you have inside of you, and that controls you. Once you lose that in government, once you lose the power in government to control the people, you lose the government. You see it in all the other government of the world. They have all kinds of, even the United States, we lost the control right now with all the people that shoot people. Because you do not teach the truth. You gotta come and bring the truth to the light of mankind. This is the only thing in life, the 12 sons of Jacob, that will revive the world into a new understanding and a new world. Because this is what you have to learn in life. People will come after me, and they will teach the 12 sons of Jacob. Then they will be done. And 10,000 years from now, they'll still be teaching the 12 sons of Jacob. Because that's what the Bible is. The Bible is not a book that was meant to be put on the shelf somewhere and forget about it. The Bible is a book of knowledge that feels inside of you, and that knowledge matches that feeling in the understanding of the power of itself. And then you begin to understand that there is a life after life, lived in the feelings of human thinking. And that comes in human understanding. You see, I told you a few months ago that you were going to, you were living 7 life in 1,000 years. A lot of people condemn what I said. And I don't care, because I said it, and I still say it, that you live. 1 lifetime doesn't make sense, but 7 lifetime in every 1,000 years makes sense to me, because you have to learn everlasting time. I'll never be able to learn all this book in my lifetime on earth. But I can learn it in my next life, and the next life, and the next life. But the power is that you have to understand the way the creation, and old man died and the baby is born. You have to understand the power of the creation. You have to understand the way it was done in the creation to understand the great power of it. So you got to come to understand. Now there's another son that I want to talk to you about.
Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a 6th son. Then Leah said, God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor because I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun.
Zebulun now is the 6 sons of Leash. I don't know how you pronounce Leash, but that's the way I pronounce Leash. Anyway, you got to understand that this is your fight. Life is a fight, and it's the 6th one. The great power that you have to fight between good and evil. You have to spend your whole life to fight between good and evil. The 6 sons of Leash, the mind that people don't like the greatest. But it's a fight. And this fight is inside of each one of us. You got to come and fight in the battle of the Lord your God. You got to sacrifice yourself for everything that the evil mind of mankind can impose on you, so you can fight to try to make life better for the future. This is the way it is. We're going to fight until we get to the kingdom of God, where people will not be like they are now. They'll be a different, and there's going to be life after life. There's going to be increases in value in each life until it comes to the understanding that the world will come to be at peace with each other. We'll be able to be free and at peace with each other. You're going to be able to live life and understand the joy and the glory of life, because life is a fight. You have to fight in it in order to be part of it. I come here and I fight over here for the truth. I fight for the power. I don't care if nobody never believed a word I said over here in the past 20 years. I don't care about that. That's not what I care about. What I care about is I am in that fight because I understand the fight. I know that I have to be a better person in myself every day of my life. So I have to be sacrificed for everything that I do wrong, so I can come to the great power of myself one day, where I will be so much at peace with people. I want to even be able to lie to them. I want to be able to take nothing away from them. I want to be able to kill another human being for no reason whatsoever. I will be free from the stupidity of the world, because the fight is inside of you. And when that fight is inside of you, you fight with every tool that you can find with. And I find, a lot of people tell me sometimes, oh, you call people stupid in religion. Yes, it's a tool that you have to call people. You see, I get a lot of feedback from people all over telling me that I did something stupid or something wrong, because I come here to tell you the truth. Now, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but people that believe in false religion are stupid, and I'm not gonna save it, because I tried to kill that evil feelings of not learning. I'm killing the feelings of being stupid for no reason, because I tell you, life is a fight, and the fight is the truth, and you have to fight for that truth every single day of your life. And if you know the truth a little higher than most people, then you have to fight to keep that truth, because everybody's trying to take it away from you. And the great power of yourself is to be able to understand yourself. And once you begin to understand the way you were created, you love every minute of it. It's the greatest gift of life that you can ever imagine to have. To be able to understand that inside of you, these feelings are real. They're not fake. They come from the Lord your God. And he explains it to you in these scriptures so simply. And nobody wants to read them because they think it's the story of the past. They don't think that there's a feeling inside of you that's going to make this great power. We're going to go to ritual right now. This is very important.
Sometime later, Leah gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Anything on that?
It's just the mind. The mind has to be there. You know, they give 12 sons, you got to give birth to a daughter because the mind is part of the spirit. Okay.
Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph and said, may the Lord add to me another son.
Okay, you got to come to understand Joseph here. The son that was sold by his brother in slavery. The son that was sold to Egypt and left the land and went to Egypt. And then later on saved his brother from starvation. The great power of reason. Now, Joseph is technology here. You know, not just technology, but you can say, you know, the power of geometry, or the power of learning, the power of the dreamer, the people that makes the understanding, the real comes alive. And Joseph is one of the greatest sons of Jacob, because that's the son that you know, he comes from Rachel, the beautiful one, the one with beautiful eyes. To be able to understand things in a fashion of knowledge where you are going to be persecuted for your intelligence. If you, every single person that came in history that had a good idea about things like Madison and Alexander Bell and all the people that came were all persecuted at the beginning of their life. Nobody really understood what they had, because Joseph was not loved by his brother, was not loved by the power of his brother. So they did not, so they dipped his robe in blood of an animal, and they brought it to her father and said he was eaten by a wild animal. But you see, the power of the story now, it continues in the understanding. I think I'm going to continue to explain all these things to the people. And you got to come to understand the power of this is that the sons of Jacob was the son that the other son did not love, but then became the hero. The one that made the world, that feed the world over, is the intelligent of mankind, the dreamer, the people that can invent a machine to, you know, to make better the life of the past. They invented, you know, a cotton gin. They invented everything that we need to clothe ourselves, and everything that we need to eat today. It's all been done by the spirit of Joseph. Joseph is the feelings inside of ourselves to create understanding from the power of the dream that we are created with. God created the world with a dream. He created the world with the power of human thinking. And said, but I can give the animal an intelligence that will last everlasting. And I created it from the dream of the power. And this is what Joseph represents. He represents that gene, that power of what we have inside of ourselves. Not everybody can be an inventor. Not everybody can have the dream of Joseph. But to be able to understand the scriptures in the understanding of life is a dream for everybody. People will like to be able to read this stuff here and understand what they mean. And the great power of it is going to be done in the feelings of human thinking. God, who is the truth, has the power of the truth in the understanding of the truth for the glory of the truth. Because what happened here is the feelings. The feelings that the knowledge between mind and spirit comes together in the feelings to create something important. And that's what Joseph is. He's the son of Rachel, the one with beautiful eyes, nice shape, nice hip, beautiful, attractive. it still is to attractive. Everybody loves a good idea. Everybody loves a good idea. Even though you sell them into slavery. They sold the telephone, the man that had the telephone into slavery. He's a dummy. He's a crazy person. They sold Madison as a lunatic, but he came with the greatest invention of all time. He made the light bulb that saved millions of lives. They used to have, oil lamp and gas lamp before that, and you see, all of these things were created with the energy of the power of the dreamer. The man that takes the dream and put it into reality and makes it powerful. It's inside of you. It's not a person. It's inside of you. Everybody can have those dreams. Everybody can come with the great glory. I've been listening to these scriptures inside my heart for over 40 years now. And I can hear them inside my soul, because they come from the dreamer. I believe in Joseph. I believe in the power that the dreamer can bring you to an understanding above other men, and the understanding of what people cannot believe. Now they tell me, okay, now you come here and you talk of the Bible, and you talk of the things that nobody's never heard of. But I have dreamed of it. And my Father in heaven gives it to me so I can tell you about it. But you don't have to believe me. It's not a question of faith for me that I transferred to you. God has to give it to you in order for you to understand it. I can't give it to you. I can only explain it to you. And if your heart is not made to understand it, you cannot understand it. You have to be born of spirit in order to understand the spirit. So you have to give yourself a birth. You have to put the feelings of your understanding inside your wound, inside of you, so you can become alive in human feelings. You have to change your mind from the mind to the spirit. And you have to come and destroy that image that makes you feel that God is an image somewhere else. You have to come and learn this power inside yourself in the glory of human intelligence, so you can feel inside your soul the power of a human being. Now, what made this Joseph? He was sold into slavery. Now, I'm going to bring these things up because I want to talk to you about Benjamin, in the understanding, because the power of Joseph, the power of Rachel gave birth to two sons. Now, those two sons are together again, Benjamin and Joseph. It comes afterward, but the thing is, Benjamin is the late son to be born, and he's competition. He's the sport that we believe now. You see the World Series, it was full of people in there that believe in competition. You watch a football game, it's full, 70,000 people in there watching a football competition. You see, because Benjamin, the cup was fine in his bag. The trophy cup was fine there, the holy cup of Joseph, his brother. In other words, the technology and his brother Benjamin come in the understanding. Now, this is the way the world was made. This is the way the world was made for Benjamin and Joseph, because they're the two sons. They're the two sons. Yeah, okay, I got just a little bit of time left, but I can talk about this all day. I mean, if you guys are listening to this, but I only got an hour over here. And I'm going to tell you that it's so nice to be able to tell you about what I have felt and understood inside myself through the dream of the dreamer. To be able to understand the dream of the dreamer, it's to be able to understand the glory that we are within ourselves, what we are. And if you can come to ever understanding the 12 sons of Jacob, you're going to come to the most powerful thing that you ever touch in your life, because you feel inside of yourself every still feeling that's inside that book. After that, you're going to go to the book of Leviticus, and you're going to understand what they talk about there. You're going to talk to the book of Exodus, and you're going to be able to what they talk about. You're going to go to all the other book of the Bible, and you're going to understand that these 12 feelings are inside of you, to understand the power of these 12 feelings. So now I got to tell you that my time is up. And I hope that you understood what I talked about here, because it's so important. If something's going to change the world, it has to be the 12 sons of Jacob inside the human spirit. People has to come to understand that we are spiritually first, and then we deal with our flesh after. The intelligence is there. But you cannot deal with your flesh without the boss inside of you, which is your spirit. You cannot. And that's why you have all these people that controls nothing, and they go and shoot people all over the place, because they haven't got that understanding inside of them that the value of others there. Thank you for tuning in, and I think my minute is over now. You just gave me the sign, and I hope that you guys understood what I talked about tonight. Very important. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.